good morning. Welcome to support group. This is the first second Friday of the month that we're doing it in person again after this whole pandemic came through. We're staying safe here. We've got masks available. We wiped down everything. We've got hand sanitizer. I mean, we are ready to go. So I encourage you guys, those that feel comfortable, come join us live. So that you can get the best out of support group. And Amy, our bariatric, oh my gosh.
Program manager.
Program manager is here to introduce our new behavioral health specialist. So let me give her some space.
Yeah, so we took our masks off. We're socially distanced, but I want you to be able to see Erin. So Erin Perez joined our team at the beginning of the pandemic. What a terrible time to start a new job, right?
That's a big challenge.
It is. But we're very happy to have him here. Actually, when he came, he jumped with both feet in and got really started. As you guys know, these have been very difficult times for everybody. And because of that, when it comes to mental health, you know, people are now reaching out, which is awesome. We want people to reach out if they're struggling. So whether it's anxiety, depression, or if it is or is not related to weight loss surgery, he's here to do counseling. And so you guys are going to see more and more of him. And we're so excited to finally begin having in-person groups, because we are people, and we want to interact with you guys. And so glad to see a couple people on YouTube. We hope that continues to grow. But what you will see is Erin beginning to get involved in more of our support groups. He and I will actually be doing the support group this upcoming Monday. Now we're going to have a bariatric yoga. It's going to be virtual this month. Miss Tessa has a young baby. So she said, please let me do just this month virtual, and then I'll be there in July. So we will put that on Facebook and YouTube for you guys to see yoga. But at 6 o'clock on Monday evening, Erin and I will be here for support group. And we're going to be talking about how to navigate through these difficult times, how to make sure that the goals that you've set for yourself, you can continue to achieve, even though we've got these interesting times and stressful times to go through. So happy to have Erin here. He is available for individual counseling. He can do family counseling, group counseling, whatever. The wonderful thing is that we already knew that Erin was going to be able to do telehealth. So it's kind of a newer concept for Giselle. But if you guys need nutritional counseling, if you feel like you need a session just to talk through what you're feeling and going through, they can do it in person now, but they will continue to offer the telehealth or virtual sessions. And so you will continue to see more of Erin. Trying to think some other things. We have not stopped during this whole thing. We've continued all of our classes, all of our support groups. Cooking class right now is up in the air. We're talking through some ideas about cooking class. We will definitely continue to have the virtual option. But one thing that actually has occurred during this time is when we're talking with our surgeons. We actually had meetings last week with Dr. Richard, Dr. Belmonto, Dr. Wynn. And one of the things now that we're looking forward to is now that we have Erin full-time on board, he was kind of that missing link for our support groups. And we love doing support group from the nursing standpoint, from the nutritional standpoint, but really having that mental health, behavioral health viewpoint is really what's been missing in our support groups for all three of our entities. So one of the things that we've talked about doing is actually bringing all of our support groups together. So all of the groups that were being done by Longstreet, all the groups that were being done by NGPG, and bringing us all together under the hospital program. So a few things that's going to do for us is it's going to increase attendance at our support groups, because believe it or not, even though each of our support groups are kind of small, we're seeing anywhere from 100 to 150 people in support groups every single month. And in my experience, what I have seen is, although, a lot of people like the intimate setting, the topics and the discussions that can be brought about by having a larger support group with more engagement, it's exciting to me because I've seen it work very, very well, and I've seen patients make lifelong friends that they've met at support groups. So I'm excited for that opportunity. It's not a change that's going to happen overnight. We will begin by meeting with our colleagues over at Longstreet and NGPG and talking about what they feel like is really going to benefit. Some of you on the NGMC Bariatric Facebook page have seen some polls that Erin's putting out. We're going to do the same thing through the Longstreet Facebook. We want our patients' input on topics, days of the week, location. I know that Brazelton is definitely one of the areas that our patients are very interested in having a support group. So that's in the plans for that. I think Saturday morning has been an option that people have thrown out and been interested in. So right now we're just in the information gathering stage, but more to come. So support group is going to be changing a little bit, and I hope that what you guys will find is it will be a lot more engaging and interesting. We've got some great ideas on topics, but we really want to hear from you guys. So stay tuned because we'll be asking some questions. Anybody have questions for Aaron since he's here? He's new.
Oh, not right now.
Any questions from YouTube?
No, just patient interested in scheduling with Erin, and I directed them to Danielle. So the number is there in the comment section. So anyone that wants to schedule an appointment with Erin can go ahead and call that number.
Awesome.
Amy.
Is that the main number? Oh,
The main number, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine. You can give my number too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would
On
get
the
directed
off
to
days.
him.
Either
Okay.
you or Aaron.
So what's your number?
When I came, it was a waiting to get in to see Dr. Mullins. It was a long wait to be
Right, right,
cleared.
right.
Will Aaron be doing that now with the group?
So
or-
Aaron, that's a good question. The question was, do we have the microphone plugged in?
Yep.
Yes,
it's right there.
The question was, would Aaron be doing any of the psychological testing? Because sometimes it takes time to get into those appointments before surgery. Aaron's role will not be the psychological testing piece. That's
Okay.
actually a psychologist that does that. However, the benefit also of having Aaron in our program is if somebody were to go through the psychological testing and there would be a recommendation out of that, like maybe somebody's depression's not controlled, or they have some issues that really that would benefit them to address those issues before surgery to maximize their success. Aaron would be a great benefit to them because he's embedded in our program. He could do those sessions with the patient and work on those issues so that when they get to surgery, they're going to be much more prepared. And so that's something that really has been lacking in our program altogether. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and this is the formal psychological assessment for
Right.
surgery, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's like, I'm not licensed to do that kind of testing, but I can diagnose and I can certainly do therapy in the meantime. So like you said, you still get like a head start on it and slide right in to an appointment with me pretty much on the spot right now with no time waiting, even though like the times for those kinds of psychologicals are set kind of ways out.
Very good.
Mhm. Any other questions for Aaron?
Nope, not yet.
All right, well, you guys got to either tune in or come in person
Yeah.
Monday at 6,
Yep.
okay? Navigating these difficult times. He's going to help us to work through that. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, see you guys later, and we'll turn it over to Miss Giselle.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks.
Okay, so for those who are here present, and I know you've been here before, I love the in-person aspect of it because we really do engage in good conversation. I try my best to bring up topics where it can really open up the conversation between the group because I truly believe that patients learn so much from other patients because you're the ones that are going through it day by day. And of course, that the moderators, us, the professionals, are here to give guidance and give our professional opinions and knowledge. But there's something different between knowing it from studying it, and there's something different from knowing it from living through it. It's completely different, and I truly respect that and empathize with you guys on that. So today we have a small group, but that's because this is the first in-person after this whole pandemic. But as the group grows, this is going to be a lot more engaging. So I just want to let you know that. And those that are live on YouTube, feel free to comment because I love to hear what you guys have to say. There's a comment section in the right, and ask questions. Any comments that you say, I'm just going to say them out loud so the people that are here in person can hear what you're saying. And so let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, let's just take a breather and just think about the fact that we were all pretty much trapped, is how I see it, in our homes. This was a very, very extensive amount of time, it felt like to me, eternal, of social distancing, staying at home, not engaging a lot with other people. And I know that this probably brought up a lot of issues, concerns, worry. You had a lot of time with yourself to learn about yourself. I saw in Facebook a lot of comments of people struggling, and it's absolutely understandable because we're emotional beings that we need the support from other people and our friends and our community. And unfortunately, unless you were taking advantage of the technology, that was not there during that time. So the first thing I want to do is open up this time for you guys to say anything that you learned during this pandemic. Any specific struggle or concern that you had that you want to share with us today. Any comments and anything at all. I would love to know what experiences you had that you would want to share with the group today.
Well, I think for me, I was just getting used to going to the farmer's market, being able to visit the local farms, because I live up in Union County, up in Blairsville. So we have a couple of local organic farms and that, and it was just during that season where they start getting in their fresh vegetables. And I was used to guiding my diet around more fresh vegetables and fruits and that. So then, and I love the class that we had on calories, how many calories should we have and how to do the fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
So then I had to fall back on the frozen vegetables and kind of, it was a matter of reworking my diet again to try to make sure that I was getting in all my nutrition, and homebound with my husband, who I kind of structure what we eat, but he does not have a diet restriction to go by. So that was kind of my challenge, is just every day having to take that deep breath and remember this is what I have and this is what I can do, and no, I can't go there, and no, I can't get that.
But that challenge that you faced, you problem solved. And
I did.
You figured out, okay, this is not an option for me anymore because it's not safe. Let me think of what else I can do.
Right.
So that's fantastic. And that's kind of what I hope to hear if anyone commented, is not just what was your struggle, but how did you problem solve? Because when we get good at problem solving, that's when we have success with anything in life, not just nutritional changes, healthy eating habits, but relationships, emotional health, our careers, is that problem solving aspect. So super proud of you. And I know that the frozen vegetables and frozen fruits, taste wise, and texture wise, it's never going to be the same.
It's not, but it worked. And then you have to figure out when you can go to the grocery store. Do you really need to go today, or can you really wait a couple of days? So just trying to do all that. It was a challenge, but it was okay.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to pause for a second, and what I want to do is, we have a little microphone there so that our people on YouTube Live can hear better. I just want to confirm that you guys can hear clearly the comments of the people that are here in person. Anyone answer and let me know if you're able to hear everything clearly. I just want to make sure before we continue. Okay, excellent. They said yes. All right. So actually, we have a comment here from one of our patients. It says, I haven't been able to go to physical therapy or the gym, and it has been super hard for me to deal with not having those outlets. Absolutely. And you call it outlets because they really, I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but when I think outlets, I just feel physical activity is a big de-stressor, at least for me personally. And we know that research has shown that it is a de-stressor over and over and over. So I can absolutely empathize with you. And then it says, then she says, I have taken up garden and installed above ground pool at home to vent my outlets. Okay,
Good.
good.
Does she see Megan? Because Megan has been a godsend to me.
Can you
For
hear that
working
comment?
out.
She's asking if you've seen Megan's videos. There's a little bit of a delay.
Oh,
so-
yeah.
But she did problem solve there. She figured out something else to do, something else to get involved with. And I mean, that truly is, I feel, was the lifesaver, was finding something to do to help with stress or any emotions that you were experiencing. Okay. Yep, she says she watches the yoga. And remember that we also have weightlifting. So not just yoga on YouTube, you can also do the weightlifting classes, which is another way to get that exercise in from the comfort of your home. Awesome.
Have you seen Megan's video?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay, another patient commented, I also started a patio garden and took up walking a trail since I couldn't go to the gym. Okay, awesome. I haven't posted any pictures on our bariatric Facebook group because I didn't know if I was going to be successful with my project. But I also started doing a garden at home. Boy, does that get you busy.
Yes, it does.
Every morning, every afternoon. I mean, I've even had to set up my alarm earlier in the morning so that I can get my other tasks done in the morning so that I have time to take care of the garden. So, yeah, gardening is it's such a good exercise, first of all, because you're going up, you're pulling weeds, it's awesome. It gets your mind busy and interested, and you learn constantly. So intellectual, it stimulates you intellectually, which I like. So that was something that one of our patients did, and I've been doing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So I would definitely encourage it for anybody. And we live in Georgia. We can grow a lot of stuff here. Some people don't have that advantage. So that's awesome. Anything else? Any other comments, struggles, wins, anything that you learned during the pandemic that you would like to share with the group? We have 5 people live, by the way. So that's great.
Yay.
Mhm.
I guess mine is there's a light at the end of the tunnel because my surgery was scheduled in March and it was canceled the night before.
Mm.
So I was prepped, ready to go. And so to get that call, it just, just sent me into a downward spiral just mentally because you mentally have to prepare for surgery. And so at that time, schools were letting out. So I had a senior and a freshman at home. My husband was working out of the house. So as stressful as that was, that kind of kept my mind off of the constant postponement of a surgery date.
Mm-hmm.
I did finally have it in mid-May. But also the point of not being social with your friends anymore because I'm a very social person.
Mm-hmm.
So not having your friends and just your social gatherings, it really plays on your mind. And we had to just turn off the TV because it just got to be way too much.
Mm-hmm.
So just turning off the TV but having school at home and my husband working at home kind of kept my mind off of
Mm-hmm.
everything. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and that's a very, you probably said that to yourself how many times during the
Every
pandemic?
day,
Every day.
every day.
Bingo. That's what allowed you to survive. Surviving sounds dramatic, but honestly, we survived.
Yep.
Like, I know it's still going on, but we have the ability to go out and about now, even if we have to social distance and wear a mask that doesn't let you breathe. But you reminded yourself of that every single day. And that is actually one of the things that we're going to talk about today with the topic that we have, even though it's not the same theme, but just that self reminder, telling yourself something every day can really keep you focused. So that's what got you through that. And of course, your family.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank
I
you for
imagine
sharing.
that did have to be kind of deflating though,
The night before, oh yes.
to be so prepared, because you're right, it's a big thing
It's, I
to
mean,
go through the whole pre-surgery
it was go time.
plan,
So,
yeah.
and then I had to have the COVID test before I had surgery, and that was
I hear
barbaric,
that is
you know, it's,
horrible.
Yeah. so.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm on
Okay.
the other side, and you know,
That's right. So
every
now
day
it's all
it gets
good.
better. So
Yeah,
Very
it does. It
Very
does.
good.
I almost feel like after this, if something like this ever happens, I feel that we should connect our behavioral health specialist with our patients like immediately, to de-escalate, and be able to see what you saw but quicker, so that this stress doesn't linger for so long, that you can as quickly as possible have that positive mindset and change the perspective to get you to, keep going.
yes.
So definitely something noted. We have someone else commenting, said, I started walking 2 miles and found it to be the most relaxed time of my day and something I looked forward to each day. That is awesome. That's the good thing, that we could still go outside as long as we kept distance with people. And I don't know about you if you feel this way, but that would be a great habit to just keep on having, not just during the pandemic, but from now on, every day, as much as you can, going out for walks. You found it was so relaxing. I'm saying it, research keeps showing that exercise is a great de-stressor. So definitely go out and about and get some exercise in, especially if you're surrounded with nature, even better. Oh, I feel you. Okay, another comment says, being single was a struggle with the stay away at home order. Talk to my cat a lot. Pets are a wonderful stress reliever too. Imagine the challenge if you live by yourself. I mean, with that, I can't even empathize, because I was going kind of cuckoo and I did have a human being to talk with there. I'm glad that you have the personality to talk to a cat and
But did their cat act different? A friend of mine who is single said that her cat totally changed personality because she was there every day, all day.
Oh.
With the cat. And she said the cat actually got kind of testy with her. Like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
So she said
Cats
that
are
her
fun.
cat kind of avoided her for a little while.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of amusing. But
That is amusing. Oh,
I
that's so
imagine
funny.
the animals are like, why are you here?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Okay, and then someone else comments, yes, I agree. I mistaken for, I must have taken for granted the ability to travel and participate in things like group. It is a big mental awareness now to participate in important things like that. So it made her realize how important for her it is, group, and coming here and seeing other people and having those conversations, those chit chats before group starts and getting to know people. I mean, yeah. So I'm glad that you realize that, and remember that we're up and running in person. So I've set up the chairs far enough to make sure that everyone's safe, so you can come in and enjoy support group in person. She said, yes, the cat was wondering why I was still home. That's funny. Okay, so these are all awesome comments. You guys are so great, despite of the fact that we have more than half of the people in support group being live. There's a lot of participation, and that's what I love about you guys, that you really do participate. So the topic that I brought today, which I apologize for the cheesy titles I pick, the power of goal setting. I tried to be creative and clearly do not have that creativeness for titles, but essentially I want to talk about goal setting. And goal setting can sound so simple. Yeah, you just set a goal and work towards it. There's a lot more to the process of goal setting that I want to make sure you guys are aware. You may be actually applying some of these things without even thinking about it, but I want to make sure that I share this with you so that you are aware of this. And maybe when you go through this process, you're a little bit more conscientious of what you're doing and why you're doing that. So again, anyone that wants to comment, go ahead and do so while I'm discussing this topic. So first of all, I wanted to know who here in this group today, virtual and in person, uses goal setting. I see one hand.
I don't yet.
You what?
I don't yet.
You don't yet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Anyone else uses the goal setting method? Anyone virtually? So while you guys answer, because I know you're going to participate, there are studies that show that people not only that set goals for themselves mentally, people that write them down have a higher success rate than those that don't. And when I read this, I was like, okay, makes sense, but I don't understand why, because I can make a really detailed mental note. It's fine. I don't have to see it written. But that's what research shows. So I like to respect research. So we'll talk more about that in a second. Someone says here that they use Fitbit to set their goals. Okay.
I do the same thing.
So connect it with the phone, and I assume in the app it's got a goal setting feature.
It does.
Okay. I haven't played around with the Fitbit app. I need to. That's cool. Good to know. Someone said, I slacked on my goal settings during this. Before this, I was very big on it. Okay. That's exactly why I decided to talk about this topic now, because I thought anyone that feels that got derailed or deviated from the plan, I think goal setting is a great thing to try to get you back on track. So let's get back onto goal setting, okay? All right, so there are certain steps, there's a process to goal setting. And the first step of goal setting, what do you think it is? It's actually a very simple answer.
Probably just to say it out loud. It was for me, just
Okay.
to verbalize
Okay,
and then find my goals.
okay. So you're going to be like, oh, when I say this, but actually before you verbalized it, you analyzed that there was some kind of issue, problem, concern going on. Like either you could feel it in your heart, something's not right. It may have taken you days, weeks to figure it out, but you become more mindful of your actions, of your feelings. You analyze and you figure out that there's a problem that needs something that needs to change, an issue, a concern that needs to change. And then the second step after that would be to figure out how did that problem happen? So what came before that problem? What led to that problem? So when you analyze and you figure out, okay, this is a problem that I'm experiencing, and you understand that it's not positive, it's not helping you with your nutrition goals, and you want to make a change. I encourage you guys to not just jump ahead and say, I'm not going to do that anymore. No, you have to think through this more. You have to sit down, you have to take out a piece of paper, which actually I'm going to give you guys a worksheet that's going to be really helpful for that. And you guys that are live, I'll post it on the Facebook group. But you have to sit down and think, okay, what is leading to this negative behavior or problem that I'm experiencing? Because that is going to give you a lot of insight on how to change, how to improve. That's the first step. Okay, someone commented that my smartwatch is good. It helps me, but I have to remember to set it low and build up to it's not a race, it's a marathon. Okay, you guys know what she. I apologize for my reading. Yes, absolutely. So that means setting up more like realistic goals, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. So one example, very simplistic example of identifying a problem I wrote down is, for example, this whole past week, I ate fast food for breakfast on my way to work. I am conscious that, and this is not a real life example, by the way, but it can totally happen. So I recognize that that is not a good behavior. That is not something that is going to support my health goals. Not something that I want to continue to do because I know it's going to lead me to the wrong path. So identify that as the problem. And then at that point, what I would do is think through and say, okay, why am I going to the drive-through? What's happening before that's leading to me deciding to go to the drive-through to get breakfast instead of preparing my own healthy breakfast? And then when I think through, I realize, well, I was in a rush because I hit the snooze button like 3 times instead of waking up late. So that being in a rush didn't allow me to have time to prepare my breakfast or even pack my breakfast to bring it to work. So that's what led to me going to the drive-through instead of making my own breakfast. So this is a process that, again, this is a very simplistic example, but this is so helpful to stop and think through what led to that problem or issue. And then the next step of the process is to know, you have to know what you want to accomplish, and most importantly, why. And the what you want to accomplish at this point is probably really clear to you in this point of the process, but maybe the why, you haven't given it a lot of thought. So when you're developing a goal, something that you've struggled with for a while, I highly encourage you to write down reasons why you want to make this change. And you may be surprised how if you take the time and you sit down to do this, you will actually come up with new reasons that you didn't think of right away. So this activity really is helpful. You have to have important whys, legitimate whys, which will help you keep you focused long term. Okay? So that's another step of the process. There's more comments, and I'm gonna read them in a second. I'm still learning how to like run a support group and read comments, and I might have to ask one of the patients in person to read them for me, a volunteer. We'll think about through that for the next one. So another thing too is when you're trying to figure out what you want to accomplish, don't just think short term, think long term. Think not just 6 months from now or 1 year from now. Think 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Even though we like it or not, time goes by. It goes by. And then at one point in our lives, we're going to reach those 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later. If we visualize and we have a more clear idea of what we want to accomplish 15 years from now, 20 years from now, we are going to be so much more likely to accomplish that because we've visualized it clearly, and then we start to act on it. Okay, what can I do? Start problem solving. How can I get to that goal? Okay, so I encourage you to not limit yourself to the next 2 weeks or 1 month or 6 months. Think through all of that, and that's going to put you definitely a step ahead. Okay. And then last but not least, developing a tracking system. And there's a lot of different tracking systems that you can choose from. It could be using a calendar that you have on your fridge. It can be a journal, which a lot of the surgeons encourage that to have for your nutrition goals. You can use that same journal to track goals, not just nutrition goals, but everything else, career goals, health, just general health and fitness, emotional, anything at all. So definitely use something that you have accessible to you consistently. I like this idea, index cards. I don't know, it just reminds me of when I was in college or in school, and you guys probably use index cards a lot to memorize. It's such a great tool to memorize. Hey, why not write your goals in index cards and have them packed in a rubber band in a drawer somewhere, and you pull them out and you just flip through. Maybe in one side you see the goal, maybe on the other side you write down ways that you're how you're going to problem solve or reach that goal. And just those daily reminders, kind of like what you mentioned about you reminded yourself every single day of the light at the end of the tunnel. These reminders using this tracking system really helps. Sticky notes on the refrigerator. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas, but whatever tracking system makes sense to you. Our phones are a great tracking system. Anything that you can use that you have accessible would be good. Any comments or questions so far? Feel free to interject. I'm going to read some of the comments now. So someone said, I slacked on my goal settings during this. Oh, I already read that one. Does taking on a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old count as a distraction of adjustment? One of the patients here in the group says yes. Yes, it does.
That's a whole different goal setting thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make sure you let your children live till the end of the day.
Right.
Goal, don't kill the children.
Yeah, that's a short-term one on a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, that's funny. You guys think of things that I sometimes would not. That's what I love. Okay. Someone says, thinking ahead at age 65 is harder than when you're younger.
It is.
But I want to think about how I can live longer and be healthier. And I know she probably heard you say that.
It truly is. It's totally different the older that you get. To organize in your head, not that we're losing our minds, but just we don't have all of the daily things that people with younger children have, and so it's a different process for us.
Now, hearing you and taking that into account, with the changes that you are making, you have given yourself so much more time and quality time. I encourage you to still look forward to how you're gonna feel or where you're gonna be 10 years from now.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely don't have any fears that I still won't be setting goals and that at 70 and 75.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had this surgery to help me get there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good. I'm glad to hear
I'm
that.
still rocking.
Good job. She's still rocking. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So a few other points that I wanted to share is that goal setting, during goal setting and all this process, there are obviously struggles. And I want to talk about those struggles because pretty much everyone experiences them. And this is a normal part of the process, but I also want to talk about how can we overcome those struggles. So one of the struggles is underestimating the effort and time it takes to reach a goal, which can cause frustrations and thoughts of quitting. That's why you can't just go like, you suddenly get this idea of a goal and you're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. No. Sit down, take a couple of days to think about this goal and really lay out. Think it through because you may realize at that point, maybe this goal is a little bit unrealistic. Let me change this around so it is a more realistic goal for me. And that way I avoid any feelings of frustration or wanting to quit. So if there's one thing that I hope you guys get from this is that goal setting doesn't take 3 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 minute. Meditate on it. And I don't mean any like religious term to that. Just think through it. Take your time, take a paper and pen and write things down before you set a goal. All right. Someone commented, I'd rather be older and healthier than younger and having a shorter lifespan like before my surgery and weight loss.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Another struggle. If old habits are not replaced with new habits, when life happens, sort of like the pandemic, perfect example, we may go back to the old habits. We may fall back to those old habits. So that's why when you're setting goals and you're trying to make changes, don't focus on just, I'm not going to do that anymore, period. You have to think, what am I going to do instead to replace something positive, something healthy, to replace this old habit? Because if you just say, I'm not going to eat junk food, what are you going to do so that truly happens? And when you replace an old habit with a new positive, healthy habit, and life hits you at that point, because you've developed that new healthy habit, that is going to help you so much more to push through and get through the difficult times. I'm not going to say that's going to happen 100% of the time for everybody, but you are much more likely to be successful and to push through these difficult times when you have developed a new healthy habit to replace the old habit. Any examples, anything that you can think of that you've done, any old habits that you've done that you've actually replaced them with new habits? Any examples from our patients here in the virtual, anyone here in person that can pinpoint something that you've not just replaced, discontinued that old habit, but you've replaced it with something new, healthy, positive.
Well, I'm working on a problem now,
Okay,
grazing.
okay.
And we've had the discussion on grazing.
Yep.
Because when I was bored before or stressed before, you just graze. Pick up a handful of this and you eat it and then you move along. Well, all of a sudden my cravings for grazing have come back. So
Mhm.
I'm really working on my goals and how I can change up my diet
Mm-hmm.
in order to maybe cure my grazing
Mm-hmm.
desires. So that's what I'm working on right now
Okay,
is grazing.
okay. Thank you so much for sharing. And is there any, so you're in the problem solving phase?
I'm in the problem solving phase. And I know it's because, and you may or may not find yourself getting in a rut of eating the same thing every day. Oh, I'll have a yogurt and I'll
Mhm.
have cottage cheese and I'll have, you just get in that rut. And then all of a sudden you find yourself craving
Mhm.
things. And mine isn't that what I'm craving is that bad or is like grapes.
Mhm.
Like I find I can't have just grapes in the house most of the
Mhm.
time. I pick up a handful of grapes and move on. But when you do that 4 or 5 times a day, you've eaten 50 grapes.
Yeah.
So there goes your sugars and that. So it's just a matter of me readjusting my diet to reset my goal, adjust my diet to where maybe I'm getting more filling foods
Mhm.
during mealtime and leaving the grazing alone.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I can't figure out what all of a sudden I feel like I'm hungry all the time. So I know it's a dietary adjustment I need to make.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
watching my carbs, but I'm getting carbs.
Okay.
Because you and I have had the carb discussion before, that
Yeah.
you must have healthy carbs in order to.
Right. They're part of the healthy
They're
bariatric
part of
plan.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm reevaluating and resetting my goals on what I need to eat in order to stop my grazing desires.
And based on what I'm hearing, it's not just reevaluating and resetting your goals, because you probably had that goal at sometime in the past, is you're trying to problem solve how to replace that habit.
Right.
So exactly, I mean, that's a perfect example with what's going on. I don't know if maybe it's stress related or anxiety, or it could be it could be maybe not having a eye appealing meal,
Right.
or not having all the nutrients that you need in each meal. I mean, it could be anything.
It could be a lot of
So
it.
that's why this problem solving takes time.
Yep.
And you just have to try different things to see what works. Just FYI, if you would like my guidance when it comes to the food piece, feel free to meet with
Absolutely.
me, because not that this is the answer, but when you were saying that, I thought to myself, if I was going through the same thing, I feel that maybe a goal that I would set for myself is to find a new, healthy, eye appealing, a new, not something you've had before,
Right.
nutritious meal that I can have. Because I've definitely seen that when patients go from something, I'm gonna say blah, that they've had over and over, to something that's completely different and has more components to it, more colors, more textures, they suddenly feel so much more satisfied. So that could be one strategy to try and help with that.
And I'm in that 9-month coming up where the weight loss has slowed. It's still there, but it's slowed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, and we go through that process of what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And you go back over the whole diet and you're really not doing anything wrong.
Yep.
So it's a big readjustment period for me, trying to figure out what I'm going to do now. What are you doing
And
now?
you're going through something that is part of the process of the weight loss journey.
Yep.
And you'll just grow from this. You just learn from these struggles and these issues. This problem solving is the most important, I think, step for you right now, because you have to find something
Oh, yeah.
that will replace that. Okay. And you're not the only one struggling with that right now, because someone in the comment section says that they're craving more fruits and veggies than protein right now,
Exactly.
which is leading to that grazing behavior.
Mhm.
But then, and you all know this, I'm just reiterating that the protein helps with the satiety and the fullness for sure. Fruits and vegetables do as well, but the satiety factor is going to be more present when you have all of the above, not just one or two.
Right.
So guys, you just keep problem solving there. You know you have us as resources. If you think it's lack of understanding on creating a meal, or if you feel that you just can't find a new healthy meal idea, reach out if you need help. If you feel that it's more stress or anxiety related, you just saw Aaron that we introduced. Feel free to reach out to him. For those that didn't see it, I commented initially the one of the, I think it's the second comment, I put down Aaron's phone number. So if you want to call him, feel free to do so. And then the last struggle that I wanted to talk about was that if you've struggled with feelings of low self-esteem, you may have experienced the feeling that you are not worthy of success. When you have a goal set, there are a chunk of patients that feel this way, that they're not worthy of success. They're working towards their goal, but they get this feeling of low self-esteem and that they're not worthy, and that they'll never achieve their goals. And there's a lot of negativity, a lot of negative thoughts happening in the mind. So if you experience this when you're trying to reach a goal, understand that you're not the only one. This is absolutely something that a lot of people struggle with, but there is something that you can do to counteract that, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So the key to counteract that is positive self affirmations. So remember when I said that I was going to talk about that? Not the same, but similar. You reminded yourself of the light at the end of the tunnel. And that was an important thing that you did so that you would keep, focused and hopeful that things are going to be over soon. So same thing. You have to say out loud or in your mind over and over positive affirmations. Well, affirmations are positive. Self-affirmations that will counteract the negative thoughts. And these statements of self-affirmations start with I am, I can, or I will. So I'm gonna throw a self-affirmation for myself. I am strong. I can public speak.
I'm glad you can.
My heart still beats fast before a support group, believe it or not, but I enjoy it so much. Self-affirmations have really helped with that, with the calming down. So I encourage all of you to practice this. I will. Okay. So some of the reasons why these self-affirmations help is because they help counteract the negative statements in our heads. They help us take personal responsibility of a lot of things in our lives. And that's important for us to do as well. And they help us also free ourselves from the dependence we have on other people's opinions, attitudes, and feelings. So when someone's opinion, attitude, or feeling is contrary to what you believe you can do, then these self-affirmations are going to be super duper important. It's so easy for us to let other people's opinions just sink into our brain, and they can be so wrong. They can be totally underestimating your capability, your potential. So that's where you have to jump in and do self-affirmation, so you don't allow yourself to talk to yourself with negative thoughts or anything like that. Okay? So these are my tips for the power of goal setting. I have a actual worksheet here that has different boxes of things that you want to write down when you're developing a goal. We've already talked about all of this, so I want to share it with you guys that are here, and those that are live, I will send it to you. I will post it in the Facebook group. So there's that. You can take a picture of it. That way you have it in your phone ready to go. I gave you this sheet, but just if you have a journal or you have a tracking system, that's where maybe you want to write these things down. Or index cards or anything like that. Anything that you feel would be helpful for you. All right. Okay. Chef Juan, for those of you who know him, he did one of our cooking classes in the past. He says, "Hey Giselle, I'm listening to your broadcast at work, and now we won't be doing classes for a while, but I can send you guys some fun recipes or ideas, or however I can help." That is awesome. Yes.
Thank you.
Please do so. Thank you. Chef Juan, you got my email, so you can send me those recipes, and I will put them in the format of the recipe cards so that we can print them and have them accessible here in our recipe wall, and I'll also upload them in our Facebook group. Thank you so much. Someone said that would be amazing. Anything with chicken or turkey. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to pause this, but I'm going to open another live stream in a couple of minutes for the weightlifting class. So don't go away. Bye.
The turkey lettuce wraps or chicken lettuce wraps that